welcome to our quarterly resident town hall. Today we're going to be speaking about the 2024 annual report. And with us today, we have George Bryan, Vice President of Operations for Southeast. And we also have Sean Judge, our Corporate Director of Finance. Our plan today is we'll open our meeting up with Barnabas, and then after that, we'll start the film, which we posted on our in-house channel, but we're going to play it today for you. And then after we watch the video, we'll have Sean and George here available for any questions you may have. So at this time, please join me in welcoming Barnabas.
Thank you, Miss Susan. It's so good to see the beautiful residents as I see every single day. It's a pleasure. I'm going to open up in prayer. Please bow your heads as I pray in my faith tradition and you pray in yours. Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Gracious Father, I thank you for today, for it's truly a gift. Thank you for giving us life. Thank you for giving us joy. Even thank you for giving us hard times, because we know that it makes us better and it builds strength and endurance. I pray for every resident that's here today that you continue to enlighten their eyes and their ears to the information that's presented today, that you give them peace, joy, health, happiness, and all the things that comes from above. We pray for those that couldn't make it today, those that are sick today or ill, or those that's going through their own situations, that you just be with them and comfort them in this time. So Lord, we thank you for your faithfulness. I pray that today is great, continue to be great. In your name I pray, amen. Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll start the video and then open the meeting up to questions.
Hello, I'm Karen Christensen, President of ACTS. At this time each year, we look forward to sharing with you a summary of our achievements over the past year and provide an important update on the financial strength of ACTS. Reflecting on 2024, we take immense pride in the collective achievements of the ACTS organization and our family of communities. Last year, we achieved many significant milestones and exciting accomplishments, most notably our continued operational excellence and financial performance. I am so pleased to be able to report to you today that the ACTS organization remains healthy and our future looks bright. We have enjoyed several years of continued growth, and 2024 was no exception. Joining me today to share further insights into our achievements are Sue Ahern, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and Joe Paskus, Managing Director and Controller. We hope this presentation inspires confidence and excitement as we continue advancing the mission and ministry of ACTS today and well into the future. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our residents, team members, and friends of ACTS. Your trust, support, and dedication form the foundation of our success. Together, we move forward with commitment and confidence, knowing that our greatest achievements lie ahead. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Sue Ahern.
Thank you, Karen. Hello, I'm Sue Ahern, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'm pleased to participate in this presentation and share the highlights of 2024, starting with the ACTS family. The organization was founded through the vision and commitment of a pastor of a church to provide housing and high-quality care for its senior members of the congregation. Our first community opened in 1972 in the backyard of that church in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, where they both remain today. With the quick success of the first ACTS community, 4 additional communities were built in Pennsylvania that same decade, and the organization also decided to venture out of the state and build its first community in Florida, St. Andrew's Estates in Boca Raton. In the 1980s, 2 additional communities were built in both Pennsylvania and Florida, and we entered another state with the development of Matthews Glen in Matthews, North Carolina. During the 1990s, the organization adjusted to its rapid growth while adding its 8th community in Pennsylvania and 2nd community in North Carolina. As we entered the 2000s, industry consolidation through affiliations, also called sponsorship transitions, provided a new growth option and strategy. We completed the last community we developed, which is Lanier Village Estates in Gainesville, Georgia, and we completed our first affiliation with an existing community, which is Azalea Trace in Pensacola, Florida. Since that first affiliation in 2003, we've added 13 other communities to the ACTS family in the states of South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Delaware, Maryland, and New Jersey, adding to the geographical diversity of the organization, which is a significant strength for us. The newest member of the ACTS family is the Terraces at Bonita Springs, who joined on November 1st, 2024. The Terraces has approximately 250 units on their campus between independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing, serving over 240 residents. The Terraces is located near Naples and is our second community located on the west coast of Florida, joining Meese Life and is part of our southeast region. With the addition of the Terraces, the 28 ACTS communities have over 8,600 team members, serving over 11,000 residents. ACTS remains one of the largest not-for-profit senior living organizations in the country based on our number of units. The number of units increased over prior year, largely due to the affiliation with the Terraces, and reflective of our commitment to expand independent living residences to our existing communities. The majority of our 28 communities fall into the legal entity of ACTS Retirement Life Communities, as we do have a history of merging affiliate communities into ACTS after certain criteria is met. In addition to ACTS Retirement Life Communities, ACTS Signature Community Services, which includes home health, hospice, and physician services, is a member of the obligated group outlined by the red box, as are the management companies. The management companies provide management services across the entire organization. Meese Life was added as a member of the obligated group in connection with the bond financing transaction that occurred in March of this year. An obligated group is a group of entities that share the responsibility for the outstanding debt. There continues to be affiliates of ACTS outside of the obligated group, including ACTS Legacy Foundation, ACTS Acquisition and Development Company, ACTS Communities of Maryland, and our newest affiliate, the Terraces at Bonita Springs. The information provided in the 2024 annual report and this town hall presentation is for ACTS Retirement Life Communities and its affiliates unless otherwise noted. Since its origin, ACTS was formed as a not-for-profit corporation. As such, there are no owners of ACTS. ACTS is governed by a board of directors, and we are fortunate to have dedicated and talented men and women serve on our board. Currently, the board of ACTS Retirement Life Communities is comprised of 16 individuals with diverse backgrounds and approximately 190 years of service to ACTS. Other than Jerry Grant, our Chief Executive Officer, and Karen Christensen, our President, all board members serve as volunteers without compensation. In addition to their commitment to our mission, they provide extensive experience in areas that are of importance to our business, including healthcare, strategic planning, finance, business operations, and management. There are 2 residents who are members of the ACTS board, including Marvin Mashner from Normandy Farms Estates and Bruce Detweiler from Brittany Point Estates. 2024 brought changes to the officers of the ACTS board. We applaud Dr. John Esterhigh for his many years of service on the ACTS board and extend our deepest gratitude for his strong leadership over the past 8 years as board chair. While stepping down as chair, Dr. Esterhigh will remain on the board, continuing to share his expertise. Susan Amon takes over the board chair role, having served on the ACTS board since 2015. Susan's appointment marks a significant milestone in ACTS' 53-year history, as she becomes the 6th board chair and the first woman to hold the esteemed role. Michael Kelly was appointed vice chair of ACTS Retirement Services, our parent organization. He formerly served as vice chair of ACTS Retirement Life Communities, which is now filled by Dan Lawson. The commitment of these individuals ensures that ACTS remains a preeminent leader in senior living with a strong foundation for future success. To the credit of Dr. Esterhigh and his leadership, the board successfully adopted and utilized an emeritus status as a method to keep good and faithful members connected to the board. 2024 began with Tom Dunn moving into the active emeritus role and ended the year with Bob Evans joining him. Both have much to continue to offer to the board, and we're so grateful for their continued service. We are pleased to announce the addition of 2 new board members. We were delighted to start 2024 with the addition of Catherine Broad, a highly respected industry professional, and then with another appointment of an equally talented and dedicated member from the Meese Life Board, Linda Chamberlain, who is an elder law attorney. In terms of the leadership team, Jeff Kane retired after having served ACTS for 30 years in various positions. Brian Rudder, Craig Thompson, and Jody Reinhardt, while previously members of the ACTS leadership team, transitioned into broader roles. Patrick Pachucky and Mike Selitsky were promoted, each having filled a vacant vice president position in 2024. We congratulate Patrick and Mike as they begin their next chapter of their career with the ACTS organization. Each of the individuals I've mentioned are members of Management Council who faithfully serve the organization under the leadership of Jerry Grant, ACTS Chief Executive Officer, and Karen Christensen as President. Members of Management Council provide guidance and supervision for all areas of business within the organization. These include executive leadership, community operations, legal, human resources and finance, health and wellness, sales, marketing and communications, real estate, development and procurement, strategy, innovation, and technology. It's now my pleasure to introduce Joe Paskus.
Thank you, Sue. Hello, I'm Joe Paskus, Managing Director and Controller. It's a pleasure to join you today and share our occupancy and operational highlights from 2024. Our population continues to grow as we add more communities, more residences, and we increase occupancy across the organization. All 3 of these occurred in 2024. We have a history of high occupancy levels in independent living and ended the year with an impressive occupancy of 94.2%. Success was shared across all regions as each of the 4 regions exceeded its budgeted occupancy. ACTS also exceeds the industry average. According to a recent analysis from NIC, the National Investment Center, who tracks senior housing data, continuing care retirement communities' occupancy levels for independent living at the end of 2024 was 90.2%. This high level of success was due to a record-breaking year with 889 move-ins during 2024. Impressively, move-ins exceeded turnover by 110. A unit turns over when a resident transitions to a higher level of living or the resident contract is terminated. A positive sign for the future is that 4,000 prospective residents remain on the priority list. Also improving are occupancy levels in Oak Ridge Terrace, which reached over 84% and nicely exceeded the prior year. We haven't seen that level since pre-pandemic when occupancy was 84.2% in 2019. Willowbrook Court census is not increasing as quickly, and while ahead of our lowest census in 2020 due to the pandemic, it dropped slightly compared to the prior year. With these occupancy levels, we have ample capacity to meet the needs of the residents and accommodate the growth in independent living residences with our expansions. Our commitment to high level of quality services remains, as evidenced by our 5-star rating, which averaged an impressive 4.74 at the end of 2024. If we look back to the prior year, our rating improved from 4.37. Impressively, our average rating is above the national average by almost 2 stars. We are also ahead of our peer group, where the top 25 average is just under 3.5 stars. Surveys are a part of the rating system, and consistent with our 5-star performance, our survey results remain very favorable. In 2024, we averaged 3.1 deficiencies, and 8 communities achieved a deficiency-free survey. In today's environment, that is near impossible. These results helped us to be well under the state average of deficiencies of over 9. We place a strong emphasis on recruitment and retention of team members and are pleased to see success in 2024. Most notable is the reduction in team member turnover, reaching the lowest level in 5 years. We continue to make progress towards the 15% goal set by the Board of Directors. The improvement in retention is evident in our Team Member Service Awards. We know that our team members contribute significantly to our success, so each year we celebrate hundreds who reach benchmark anniversaries. We recognized 728 team members for 5 years to 45 years of service to the organization during 2024. Collectively, these team members provided 8,498 years of service to ACTS. We owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to our team members who continue to demonstrate a strong commitment to our mission and support our objective to provide hospitality, engagement, high-quality services, and care to all of our residents. Their efforts, combined with our active and engaged residents, make our communities a place of excellence. Another way we recognize team members for their service to ACTS is through the prestigious President's Award, which honors team members for exceptional service and commitment to loving kindness. In 2024, 6 team members were selected for this award. Collectively, these 6 individuals have provided distinguished service for over 100 years to the ACTS organization. As we continue our focus on the workforce, technology plays an important role, and we continue to improve our systems across the entire team member continuum. From expanding artificial intelligence or AI capabilities in recruitment to significant investments in helping our team members manage their employment relationship with ACTS and communicate with each other through Kronos for scheduling, to offering online culinary school with real-time hands-on experience in the kitchen, to testing robots in culinary and environmental services, and leaders using AI tools such as Microsoft Copilot, technology is an integral part of innovation. In addition to team members, resident technology investment remains a key strategic focus, and we continue to make progress enhancing the resident experience in all levels of living. Between pilot programs and full rollouts, there are a number of advancements we made during 2024, including expansion of the K4 app for independent living residents that includes voice recognition using Alexa, as well as investments in technology focused on primary care. To support the resident technology amenities, we continue to improve and expand Wi-Fi capability. Thank you to those residents and team members that volunteer to be a pilot site, and thank you all for your support and partnership as we continue to move our technology platforms forward. Resident satisfaction is one of the greatest measures of our success. Providing an engaging and purposeful living experience fulfills the vision of our founders and mission of the organization. The 2024 Resident Satisfaction Survey reflects the feeling of the residents on the services provided. The results were very positive, with widespread improvement in scores as 27 of 29 factors scored above the last survey taken in 2022. Strengths include areas of fitness, resident health services, and the quality of our workforce. As will likely always be the case, due to the frequency and type of service, the area of focus is in culinary, as we serve close to 6 million meals a year. However, notably, all factors scored above the prior survey, which is a very positive trend. The darker blue bars represent 2024 results and are ahead of the lighter blue bars representing 2022. The highest marks were service-related with direct interaction with team members. It is now my pleasure to turn the presentation back over to Sue.
Thank you, Joe. In the annual report, there is a summary of the 2024 audited financial statements, which I'll review with you. A full copy of the financial statements and footnotes is available on the ACTS website or from the business office at your community. The financial performance is for ACTS and its affiliates. If you think back to the organizational structure slide that I reviewed earlier, It includes all 28 of the ACTS communities, including ACTS Communities of Maryland, Meese Life, and the Terraces. We will start with the balance sheet. We are a large and growing organization as total assets exceed $2.7 billion at the end of 2024. That represents an 8% increase compared to the prior year. 71% of the 8% increase is due to the affiliation with the Terraces. With this affiliation and capital investment consistently above depreciation, property and equipment, our largest asset, now exceeds $2 billion and grew 9%. Total liabilities exceeds $2.5 billion. The two largest liabilities are long-term debt and deferred revenue. Long-term debt increased only 3%, while deferred revenue grew an impressive 15% due to the record-breaking number of move-ins. On the balance sheet, the difference between total assets and total liabilities is total net assets. This would represent equity in a for-profit world. ACTS has a healthy net asset balance, which for the first time in our history exceeds $200 million. Cash and reserves totaled $463 million at the end of 2024. While only a slight increase, there was a positive shift as restricted reserves decreased as we utilized our project funds, and unrestricted cash and reserves increased and represent 83% of the total compared to 81% in 2023. Moving on to the statement of operations, performance was very strong. First, operating income of $5.4 million improved over prior year by 17%. We then have below-the-line items, including unrealized gains, as the market continued to rebound from significant losses in prior years, bringing our increase in net assets to $11.2 million. Looking at cash activity only, the operating surplus improved by $3.7 million compared to the prior year, with cash revenue growth of 10.3% exceeding the growth in cash expenses, a positive trend. Notably, resale entrance fees were strong and provided for total operating cash flow at a record-setting $212 million, which exceeded prior year by $27 million. The total operating revenue of $739.1 million is divided into 5 main categories, of which the allocation is consistent with prior year. No surprise that the largest category is resident services revenue, which is 68% of the total. It includes monthly fee payments and other resident ancillary fees. Next largest is the amortization of entrance fees at 21%. Third-party revenue includes Medicare Part A and B and a small amount of Medicaid. This is an important source of revenue and makes up 8% of the total. Investment income on our cash and reserves is 2% of the total. And then finally, any other revenue, if it doesn't fit into another category, is called other and makes up the final 1% of the total. Likewise, total operating expenses of $733.8 million are divided into 5 main categories. Being in the service industry, the majority of the expenses are staffing related. Salary, wages, benefits, and contracted services, which is considered outsourced labor, make up 60% of our total expenses, consistent with the prior year. The other categories are a bit more evenly spread. Depreciation on our property and equipment is 15% of the total. Food supplies and other is 12%. The fixed costs of insurance, utilities, and real estate taxes are 8%. And finally, the interest we pay on our long-term debt is 5% of the total operating expenses. Solid cash performance provided for strong key financial indicators, which compare favorably to the prior year. Days cash on hand is the only ratio that did not exceed the prior year, but from a rating perspective, days cash on hand over 200 is considered credit neutral. Our strongest performing indicators are debt service coverage and net operating margin adjusted, which is based on our financial structure and support and influence our credit rating. Both of these indicators exceeded budget and prior year. Debt service coverage is strong, and our entrance fees are robust, and our leverage position is conservative at under 40%. That leaves the operating ratio that improved compared to the prior year, as a lower number is more desirable. While it did not meet budget, it was very close to our objective of being less than 100%. We have a history of bringing affiliates into the ACTS obligated group, and we did that this year with Meese Life. It is the ACTS obligated group that has the credit rating, which was affirmed in February, even with new rating criteria, a debt financing, and merging Meese Life into the obligated group. We are part of an elite group in the A category, which is driven by the financial metrics that I shared with you, as well as the safety of our geographic diversity and the strength of our management team. Next, let me share some of the exciting growth that we've seen in 2024. Some of the repositioning projects include adding and updating dining venues, combining smaller apartments into larger units, enhancing exterior finishes, and completing infrastructure upgrades such as boilers, generators, electrical, and HVAC systems. We are also focused on updating our healthcare centers to a more home-like environment and enhancing privacy with our ACTS Signature Experience efforts. We are adding designated memory care units to communities where opportunity allows. And finally, some communities have the opportunity and the market demand to add independent living units. During 2024, Matthews Glen, near Charlotte, North Carolina, added 88 units comprised of 72 apartments and 16 villas. At Park Point Village in Rock Hill, South Carolina, a 227 independent living expansion is planned with phased development starting in 2025 that will take several years to complete. We recently started pre-selling phase 1 of the expansion. Our mission is also supported by the efforts of ACTS Legacy Foundation, which received over $5.6 million of contributions in 2024 through the generosity of residents, team members, vendors, and other stakeholders, increasing 8% over the prior year. Thank you for considering ACTS when making charitable donations throughout the year. It is important to put our donated assets into use, and we released $5.3 million to support capital and resident services, including $2.2 million for resident assistance through the Samaritan Fund. The Samaritan Fund provided assistance to 78 residents and continues to average just below 1% of our population. Another way we support our ministry is through the commitment to social accountability. We collectively serve the greater community, which was highlighted in this year's annual report. The total community benefit, which exceeds $28 million, is an estimated value, which is not reflective of cash payments. Our social accountability contributions come from the donation of our time, resources, and our physical space. We can't thank you enough for helping us make a difference. In summary, 2024 marks significant strides across key operational areas at ACTS. We continue to experience strong occupancy rates, achieved excellent ratings of our health services, and increased resident satisfaction. Our focused efforts also resulted in notable reductions in team member turnover, reflecting our commitment to fostering a supportive workplace environment. Financially, we achieved sustained growth, supported by strategic expansions and new affiliations that have strengthened our position in the senior living industry. Moreover, progress in our strategic and technological initiatives underscores our commitment to innovation, ensuring we remain at the forefront of delivering exceptional experiences, services, and care. Finally, our culture remains steadfast, driven by shared commitment to our mission. As we look ahead, we are poised to build upon these achievements, continuing to enrich the lives of those we serve and setting new benchmarks for excellence in senior living. It's now my pleasure to turn the presentation back over to Karen.
Thank you, Sue and Joe, for sharing an informative overview of the past year. And thank you for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, please direct them to your executive director. And don't forget to join the upcoming question and answer session at your community with our financial services representatives. As a reminder, you can also access the full annual report on the ACTS website. On behalf of the entire ACTS leadership team, thank you for being a part of the ACTS family and for the confidence and trust you place in us. We wish you a joyful summer, continued good health, and countless blessings. May God bless you and the entire ACTS family.
Okay, a lot of information. I'm not aware of any questions that were submitted in advance, but we're going to open for questions that you may have now, and we have a microphone in the back. Barnabas has a microphone. Here we go.
What impact has the horrible insurance rates in Florida had on you in terms of the Florida communities and then the overall ACTS family?
That's a great question, and I'm going to answer broadly, and Sean might be able to drill down a little bit. But you hear about the term obligated group often. What that means is that the ACTS family, the communities, are one organization. So they are, regardless of the state they're in, they're one organization, with the exception of the Maryland communities. And the only reason they're not part of that larger obligated group is that Maryland law requires the owner of that nonprofit corporation to be from within Maryland. Otherwise, they're operating strongly. They have their own small obligated group, but for all intents and purposes, they're very strong. But what that means from an insurance perspective is that the insurers see us not as a Florida entity where they have all the risk in one basket, but diversified across multiple states. So it helps us immensely with the reinsurance. I know that we're also self-insured to a large extent because of our size. So as I know you recall when buying homeowners insurance, if you took on more risk yourself, if you could afford it, you could lower your premiums. Well, we do the same thing, whereas we know that with our reserves, we can take a certain amount of risk on and have those lower premiums based on that risk. So all in all, we're in better shape than most. If we were solely a Florida-based organization, even if there was an obligated group, we would have all our chips in one basket, so to speak, from an insurance perspective, and have a much different situation. But we're very strong because of the obligated group approach. Anything to add? Well, great. I know it's self-explanatory to a large extent. On several occasions, there was the mention of the actual report itself. For any of you financiers who would like to really peel the onion, and if you have a restless night, great reading. He can attest to that, but I would recommend taking a look at it. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, right now with the question,
Here
give
we
me
have a
1 second
microphone.
so we can record it.
Thank you. With all the assets that you have, I'm wondering why you just get 2% back on your investments.
This is your cup of tea.
And actually, I think our rate of return was slightly better than that in the past couple of years, just because the bond markets have been doing really good, and short-term borrowing has been doing really good. Maybe closer to like 3.5%, 4% the last couple of years. But we do have a very conservative approach to investments, because we know that the money we do have set aside to protect what you've invested in and ourselves in the case of uncertainty. We don't invest it aggressively. We don't invest heavily in stocks. Most of our portfolios are invested in bonds, and that way we can protect what our nest egg that we have for you. And I'm not sure if the 2% was our percentage of investment income as our total revenue. So that's just saying of our 700 some million dollars of revenue, 2% of that came from investment income. But investment income last year was probably between 10, I'm not going to cite the correct number, but between 10 and $15 million.
Thank you, Sean. Well, Sean and I will remain up here if there are any specific questions. I don't know, Susan, if you have any closing remarks.
A couple of questions. So a resident, and I left the question downstairs, but a resident who is not here did submit a question about the diversity and equity council that we have, and we actually call it culture and belonging. And the question was, since Trump has changed the governmental view on that, what is our approach? And we believe that there is strength in diversity, and that diversity creates the culture that we either work in or live in. And so between all of us and our diverse backgrounds, we're creating a culture of loving kindness here at Edgewater and within ACTS. And so we do celebrate that culture, and we try to, through the council or through the committee, we try to identify ways that we can enhance the culture here. An example of that was last month, we went to the beach on Earth Day, and a group of team members and residents picked up 25 or 27 pounds of trash at Deerfield Beach. So it was us giving back to our community, and just celebrating the fact that we do care about the community where we live. And so we participated in a larger day of cleanup. So that's one example of what our Culture and Belonging Committee is doing. The other question that was submitted this morning or this afternoon here, a question about the $25 housekeeping charge. And the question is, did the housekeepers receive an increase when we increased the $25 charge? I think it's 25 still. I'm not 100% sure per hour. And the answer is all team members did receive an increase, and each year we all receive an increase in our salaries. So that's good. But the benefit of that revenue source is it helps to offset monthly fees for everyone in the obligated group. Anything you want to add to that, or?
Just that was a couple of years ago. That's a historic question. That wasn't a recent change.
Okay, thank you. And then the other comment is the unfortunate the Cove is still not open, and I had expressed to residents at the last Ask the Director that we're very close to ordering the supplies. In fact, this week we'll be ordering the gifts, the gift shop portion of the supplies. We're still trying to iron out the household goods, and we're trying to work with our vendor who provides the cleaning supplies for both housekeeping and culinary to have products such as deodorant, toilet paper, toothbrushes, etc., where we can go online and place those orders. So we're still waiting on our vendor to create that online version of the ordering. But the gift side of the gift shop, we will be placing that order this week. So you'll start to see some activity very shortly, and then we'll reconvene with the residents who would like to volunteer, and we'll get the Cove up and running. And I'm sorry that there has been such a delay, but the supply portion of it was the cause. So thank you. Okay, did that create any new questions?
One second. Thank you for your patience. You're welcome.
Just a quick question about capital investment here at this community. Perhaps you can give us a little preview of maybe what's planned over the next 5 years for capital investment at Edgewater.
So we have been, we've begun the modernization of the elevators. Most notable, we actually modernized the clubhouse elevator. This year we'll be modernizing the Willowbrook Core Oak Bridge Terrace elevators. That will begin in July and we're hoping by October that those 2 elevators will be modernized, and then we'll follow through the residential buildings. Either C or B building will be first, and then A would be last. So those are some of the capital projects. We're redeveloping or looking at the Willowbrook Core Oak Bridge Terrace building, and we're in the process of designing that building so that we have all private rooms with the exception of a few that will be shared rooms. But every room in Willowbrook Court will have a shower. Right now they do not have showers, and they will be more home-like than what we have currently. Oak Bridge Terrace will be expanded, and we will have a license that will allow individuals to stay longer in Oak Bridge Terrace, because we'll have an extended congregate care license, which we've already applied for, so we're just waiting for that approval. But once we have that license, we'll be able to shift some staffing into Oak Bridge Terrace. Willowbrook Court will shrink because of that extended congregate care license. We will also have a memory care area for Oak Bridge Terrace, which is great. So we will have a designated area where we can serve residents living with memory concerns. So those are our bigger projects. We have talked about looking at our small sports complex area, and we'd like to redesign that. That probably will be a fundraising project that will ask people to help us raise funds, but we recognize that we need to have more well-being opportunities for residents, and we want to enhance physical fitness, if you will, on our campus. That's another area we're going to look at. We also will be adding additional space to the clinic. So there's an empty apartment next to our current clinic. We'll be redesigning that clinic this year and construction to begin next year. So we'll be renovating the clinic. The well-being pilot that has been going on at St. Andrews is going to be rolled out, and the emphasis of well-being will become part of our campus and our culture. And with that, we need to look at the clinic and the fitness opportunities and other items, services, amenities that we'd like to bring to our campus. So those are the highlights. A lot of the, Building B, carpet. The Building B carpet is going to be replaced. So we're waiting for the interior designer to provide us with some options. We'll create a small committee to look at the carpet and paint in Building B, and then that will be updated as well. So those are the highlights of some of the major capital projects heading our way. Thank you.
It's so funny to hear the reactions about Building B, and I remember not too long ago it was the one that was most recently done. I just wanted to add to what Susan shared that I have offered. I've talked to Myra, your president of your resident association, early in the year about assisting with, I'm loosely calling it an orientation for the board, because many of your resident representatives are 3 years or less of residency. Not all of them, but many are. So they don't know the history, the approach. You know, if these cycles of this meeting, like we have this meeting every year, and if you're a multi-year resident, you've seen the cycle. As we've shared, we acknowledged when we came in, like this day and this time is not a great day and time for the community. We'll look at a time that works for greater participation because knowledge is important. But I've offered to Myra an orientation. I've done this orientation at the residents' request leadership at Indian River Estates, and it's a 2-hour overview for the resident leadership of the budgeting process, and I share like a 5-year capital expense where you could see what we've spent on the campus over the last 5 years, and a breakdown of where those capital dollars are, because currently, almost 50%, like 46% of capital dollars goes to apartment renovations. So that's right off the top. And that number has been climbing because of labor and material challenges, that's the cost. So as that number goes up, it depletes a finite pool. So if you think, percentage-wise, year over year, you look back 10 or 15 years, the percentage of dollars spent on capital renovations for apartment renovations has been depleting access to capital for other projects. But what's happening is because those renovations are really major infrastructure, like new wiring, new plumbing, then it makes it so the next renovation for that same space is more of a restoration, not a renovation. The cost goes down. Relative to the time. Costs are always going up, but the percentage goes down. The percentage of the cost goes down, which makes more capital accessible for other projects. So I'm going to be sitting down with your resident board soon. I know Myra's was spent some time with their family through the holiday, through Passover, so we're setting a date. But that's going to be helpful because it'll start a cycle of knowledge, so for what's going on under the hood, if you will. Yes, sir.
Are you aware of any Florida legislative activity that might affect retirement communities such as ACTS?
That's a very good question. Florida Chapter 651 governs CCRCs. And early in the season, so early this year, there was a lot of talk about, from the OIR, the Office of Insurance Regulation, about making some major changes to Chapter 651. And what that means to some players like ACTS is an increased cost for managing those changes. So the legislation didn't go anywhere this year. It's a collaborative effort that needs to go between FLICRA, Florida Life Care Residents Association, and you have a chapter here, Leading Age Florida, which is the advocate for property owners, and the Office of Insurance Regulation. So I'm certain that through off-season, so after, through the summer and into the winter, there's going to be probably workshops and a lot of dialogue, and then next year, a more collaborative approach at making adjustments to protect communities. The nice thing is, though, and I hope this presentation revealed that, you're living with an organization that's very, very strong. And there are others that are more challenged. Standalones, for example, just an independent community, can be heavily impacted by tariffs and other items that we have levels of insulation from, you do as residents. And I can actually demonstrate through capital expenditures over the years that when the going gets tough, that's the gas pedal that we can pump. We can let off of some capital spending to relieve spending on your behalf, to keep maintenance fees down. So smaller organizations don't have as many valves to release when the financial situation gets tough. But there is a focus on protecting seniors overall. And so, yes, there's going to be a look at Chapter 651. There was an attempt this year, but it was not collaborative. It was more combative. So I'm predicting next year will be more collaborative.
Here you are.
All right, second time around. I'm new to the community. We've been here about 5 months. And we looked at this community. We looked at St. Andrews. And just looking at the land, okay, so I just want to talk about land. We are, to my eye, pretty landlocked compared to St. Andrews. And I was wondering what impact that might have on any outdoor sport kind of wellness area that we could have here. I don't even know if it's possible.
No, that's a very good question. I'm going to hand it to Susan in a moment. That's a great observation. And a lot of the desire, like as a newer resident moving in, your energy is bringing interest to that. So I think that's what Susan was speaking to a little earlier. There's clearly, she's hearing more about the desire for that type of space.
And so right now we have our regional, what's Peter's title? Real estate manager? Project manager? Thank you. Okay, Peter is our corporate director of development. And so Peter works with us on all the capital projects that we have, and recently he has enlisted an engineer to look at the plans to see where we could build a sports complex if we were going to do so. Just FYI, for your information, St. Andrews is creating this beautiful sports complex, and it's in between both sides of the campus, so it's right in the middle, and they'll have like an outside theater. They'll have, I believe, a putting green. They're going to have pickleball. They'll have a ton of outside opportunities. We'd like to have similar things here, but we are landlocked. So our engineer is actually looking at our plans to see where we can allocate space to do so. And then once we know that answer, then we're going to begin perhaps a fundraising effort here for a really nice sports complex. But we do have limited space, but we do want to be committed to well-being and wellness, because we know the next generation of residents is going to be looking for that. So we need to stay relevant. We need to offer the same types of amenities that other communities will do or will offer in the future.
1 second, I'll bring a mic to you.
Is there anything that you can do about the outside, immediate outside of the building?
So are you talking in terms of landscape or?
Something, it always seems to be crowded with cars. It needs another space outside. The main entrance.
So we did
What could we do?
We did buy the boot system.
What's that?
The boot system is where we actually put a boot on the tire so that we can remove outside paid guests. So we have two types of guests. We have guests who come, who are your friends, families, acquaintances, who are not being paid by you. And then we have other guests who are receiving pay to serve you. And so we want the paid guests to park not around the front circle as they do every single day, so that there is more space for your guests. As you can see, I'm a little fired up by it, because I feel that your guests should be able to park close. And so Ross ordered 5 boots, and we'd like to roll that out. We'll send out letters to all of you. We'll let the visitors know, the guests as well as the paid guests, know that this is coming, because we really want to open up the front space so that when you have guests come for lunch or dinner, they have a place to park. Thank you.
And I know Susan started with a kind, gentle approach in talking with these individuals, but there are regular paid employees of residents who are parking up in those choice spots. As we came from St. Andrews today, we parked in the South 40 or the North 30 because there was nothing nearby, but nor did we need to be close by. But I was just acknowledging it was full. At 12 o'clock, there wasn't a parking place to be had. So it is a sensitive area, but
there's really no space there to add
parking in the appropriate places to balance what we have. Well, I want to thank you for the participation. We're going to be here if any other specific or private questions that you have, but thank you for coming. We are looking at the time and date, so we're very sensitive. We really would like strong participation, and thank you for your participation today. Thank you.
Thank you, George and Sean.